The detox process involves cessation of drinking, but also starting a new medication for just a couple days, sometimes only 24 hours, sometimes up to a few days, depending how severe the case is. And this drug is Valium, or drugs like it in the same class. These are called benzodiazepines. These help to prevent the onset of alcohol withdrawal seizures and other problems. And so it's best to be done under the roof of a rehab facility where there's medical care. So a detox can take place in its own detox center, or it could be in a rehab center. It depends if they're equipped or not. But generally there's medical professionals there that can keep an eye on this person to look for any onset of any complications like hallucinations, severe tremulousness, and seizures. And they can institute the therapy with these Valium-like drugs. And it's a safe environment. The person feels unwell, but the good news is that with alcohol detox, it lasts usually 24 to 72 hours for most people, and so they can recover quite quickly. So to summarize, alcohol detox involves complete cessation of drinking the alcohol and starting a bridging medication, which is like Valium or similar benzodiazepine, in that it prevents the onset of severe complications, which can include seizures and death. The detox facility provides medical care, oversight to make sure that the person is doing well. Unfortunately, the worst of the worst lasts about 1 to 3 days, sometimes up to a week. But this allows the person to get off of the alcohol, to be stable medically, and to be ready for changing their life. How long does alcohol detox and alcohol rehab last? Detox, fortunately, is a relatively short period for alcohol. Most people get through the worst of it after about 24 hours after abstaining. But it's important, though, during this time, it can be dangerous for some people who have been on heavy or frequent alcohol use. And in that situation, it's important to go on bridging therapy with Valium or a similar type benzodiazepine class drug. That being said, the actual detox itself, like I said, lasts from 1 to 3 days. For most people, it can last up to a week. So this is the actual detox, when the first person is feeling very uncomfortable after they've abstained from their last drink. They can stabilize very quickly and ready for the next step, which would include the beginning of recovery, and this is what is also known as rehab. Not everybody goes into rehab, but it is generally a good idea. The recovery, though, from alcohol rehabilitation can take up to about a year. There's something called post-acute withdrawal syndrome, PAWS, and this is where a person, even though they're not acutely detoxing, they're still not quite 100% right. And what this relates to medically is that there is an imbalance of neurotransmitters that is created during the heavy use, and then it's even more unbalanced during early recovery. And it takes the body time, the brain time to reach equilibrium, like a steady state where there's a normal balance of neurotransmitters. So this is reflected by odd behaviors, irritability, agitation, frustration, anger, outbursts. These things can last up to about a year. So the good news is that it does get better with time over the 1 year period, but a post-acute withdrawal is a very real thing, as it's differentiated from acute withdrawal, which is what I already discussed, which is the detox process. And it can slowly evaporate with time. It's variable depending on the person. Some people would be 6 months, others a year and a few months, but the general number is approximately 12 months for alcohol. On that note, just an aside note is that with other drugs of abuse like opioids, post-acute withdrawal is even longer at approximately 18 months. So to summarize, the acute recovery from alcohol, the acute withdrawal or detox process lasts from 1 to 3 days for most people. The long-term recovery, though, which is complicated by post-acute withdrawal syndrome, can last in general up to about 12 months. And finally, with opioids and other medications, the post-acute withdrawal can be significantly longer. What type of alcohol detox facilities exist? There's basically two types. One is private and the other one is community. The community detoxes generally see people, large numbers of people, and it's going to be, the conditions may not be as nice as a private detox facility. So unfortunately that comes down to if somebody has medical insurance that would cover it, or if they're financially able to pay for this. But the treatment in the end is the same. The idea is to abstain from drinking alcohol, to start on some bridging medications like Valium or similar type drugs, just for 1 to 3 days to get them through the worst part of the detox and to prevent the onset of delirium, tremors, and seizures, and to go on from there. So it's best to check out a detox ahead of time before you or your loved one plans on going there, to check the conditions there. How clean is it? What type of medical professionals are working there? Is it nurses? Is there a physician oversight? Are there drug treatment counselors there as well? So to summarize, there's 2 types of drug and alcohol detoxes out there. One is is public and publicly funded, and the other is private. There can be differences, cleanliness, visual appeal to it, but the more important thing is cleanliness is important, but also ensuring what kind of medical coverage is there. It's best at the very least to have nursing there, and possibly medical oversight.